Okay, I'd like to call to
Not yet.
It changed.
Wait for the screen.
Shush.
Okay.
Now you're good.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Newington Economic Development Commission meeting to order 7 p.m. April 7th, 2020. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
The roll call, please.
Give Noreen just a second. She just got her audio connected.
Okay.
You're still muted, Noreen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Ancona,
Excused.
Chairman A. Okay. Chairman Avey,
Here.
Commissioner Havens.
Excused.
Okay. Commissioner Marsden,
Excused.
Commissioner Nagel,
Excused.
Commissioner Payne.
Mia?
She's here. She's not
She's here.
unmuted.
She's muted.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's here.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, fine. Commissioner Rio,
Here.
Commissioner Rosa,
He's excused.
Commissioner Slater,
Yeah.
and Commissioner Stamp.
Chip is here.
Okay. Okay, all set.
Okay. Could I have a
Mike.
motion? Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from March 3rd, 2021?
I approved the minutes. March
Could I get
3rd.
a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Mia and Chip. Okay. All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion pass. My favorite part. Public participation.
We got no.
Okay. The Chamber of Commerce report. I can report that they have hired a new executive director. She comes from Weathersfield's Chamber. She used to be the executive director at the Weathersfield Chamber. She left there, and Newington was able to snatch her up. Her name is Leslie Civitello. From what I've heard, she's done great work with the Weathersfield Chamber, so hopefully she can do the same here in Newington. And on one other item with the Chamber, on May 8th, they're doing a drive-in, and that will, they're showing the Sandlot. I know they have some sponsorships available if anyone's interested in sponsorships or buying tickets. Chick-fil-A is the food sponsor. I remembered that much. Just contact the Chamber. And I see that Commissioner Marsden is here now. Okay. Keith, I know you are have some time restraints, so do you want to talk about anything that you think is important that we need to know?
Yes, thank you very much. A couple of things on the beautification program with the town. I invited in to your meeting now, Bill DeMayo, our Parks and Rec superintendent. Bill is very well versed on promotion of events in towns and beautification. He does the downtown for the holidays over Christmas. the lighting and so forth. The flowers in the flower pots are all done by his staff throughout the whole town. And I just think that it would be a good asset to have Bill as part of this beautification committee moving forward, because it is a important program that the town council actually, unless they cut it, which Gail, I think, is here and she can probably verify it. I don't think they're going to cut it. I think we put in $25,000 as a line item for beautification for the committee starting July 1st. So I think that we really need to get your committee to, over the next, we'll say, couple of months, we'll say by July 1st, to really zero in on what it is that your members would like to see as far as beautification goes throughout the town, and the other committees and boards that you hopefully will be working with to assist in the project as well. But I think Bill brings a lot of value to such a program. He's been heavily involved in his previous occupations in other communities, and he's heavily involved with Newington itself. So he's here tonight, so I want to introduce him to everyone. But I think the council has made this a pretty much of a priority, even though the dollars are small. It's a beginning, and where we go, if we're successful and it improves, we'll say, economic development or the real estate values in the town, I think that there's a good likelihood in future years that the funding level will be increased to assure that the town continues with this program. So, Bill, do you want to say anything at this point?
Sure. Thanks for the intro, and good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I've got lots of experience doing the city of New Britain, especially for the hanging baskets and the WOW program. We used to do that, and we've also done a whole bunch of things with paver bricks and a variety of things, decorations. In fact, the last thing I bought leaving New Britain was a giant 50-foot fake Christmas tree that came with lights already assembled, LEDs and things like that. So there's so many good things that towns and cities are doing. And I was fortunate enough to be able to travel around the country at national conferences for Parks and Recreation and see what others are doing in flags and in banners. And if you probably have noticed, we kind of read Keith's mind and the council's mind. And of course, the mayor came out in the newspaper several months ago about her visit to New Britain. So we stepped it up a bit, and we got the Welcome to Newington flags in Newington High School colors. We also are making a giant push for Christmas decorations and found a beautiful 48-inch wreath that is portable, battery operated, because a lot of the telephone poles don't have the electricity around it. And you might have seen 2 telephone poles installed Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. at the corner of Willard and Garfield Street. And we're preparing to have a giant LED sign that says Happy Holidays. So when people go by, there's 7,000 visits on Willard Avenue a day. They'll be able to see it. And when you come into the brand new government center, you'll see wreaths and decorations on the poles, and it will tie into the center of town, which is the Market Square area. So I think that's going to be exciting. We planted 5,000 bulbs, daffodil bulbs, last fall with the 150th anniversary committee headed up by Eileen Francolino. And you're seeing the fruits of our work last fall now, and this next week coming up should be prime season for the daffodils. You'll see them everywhere. We also went ahead and bought and built a greenhouse at the Parks Garage, and we've been pushing flowers and bulbs for the last 2 months. And we just brought out, these last 2 days, brought out 68 pots. They're about 30 inches wide, about 25 inches tall, and they have 17-gallon reservoir with a wick in it. And what we do with those is you plant flowers, especially right now we're doing pansies, but you don't have to water every day because it wicks the water from the base to the flower. and that saves on maintenance and saves on costs. So you'll be seeing those around as you drive around town. And then lastly, as a spoiler alert, we're going to try very, very hard to build an American flag on the corner of Cedar Street and Mazzicoli Way, where we close the road. If you're coming out of the senior center, you look straight ahead. We're going to build a berm, and you'll have probably an 8 by 12 foot American flag made out of red, white, and blue flowers.
Wow.
I used to do it in New Britain. It became troublesome during the budget times, but we stopped doing it about 20 years ago. But I think to resurrect that idea here in Newington, you'll get tons of mileage, and there's 30,000 visits on Cedar Street every day. So I think people will really, be alerted to Newington being something special. So I think those are some of the projects we're working on. And if you want to talk about if businesses want to get involved and buy their own pots, if they want to buy Christmas wreaths in front of their stores, if we want to do fall flags, they're expensive. They're like $40 a flag, and the poles are $25. But there's millions of ideas we can do. And the Christmas decorations, certainly, we've added the menorah now. You've seen that for the Jewish faith, and you've seen the different colored bulbs for the Christmas tree. So we're doing all kinds of things. We added a new fence to the cemetery, the center cemetery at the Congregational Church. That was way overdue. That adds a nice touch, I think, to the center of town. So that's pretty much it, and I'm open to all kinds of ideas. I'll work with you any way you want. Trying to make Newington more beautiful is the key. Obviously, like Keith mentioned, real estate values go up. You attract young families to it. There's a whole bunch of benefits to decorations and flowers and parks. So with that, I'll end it.
Bill, if I may, when you talked about the American flag, when you're going along Cedar Street, you're going to see this. It's going to be a raised up berm situation.
Yeah, it'll be about 2 to 3 feet high on the top part of the flag, and then down to ground level, so it'll be on a tilt so you can see it.
Okay, just food for thought. On the opposite side of that berm is going to be the Veterans Memorial. Where the old where the generator was, that in front of the in the front of the rear of the town hall. When we're all done here, there is a place where we're going to put the memorials, and it would be nice if you could have that berm go 2 different directions, facing Cedar and facing Mazzicoli, and have a flag that's right nearby where the memorial is going to be. So just food for thought.
Yeah, our first plans were to do flowers on the other side. This is a little tricky and a little bit, this is pushing our park staff to the max. So it's somewhat in an experimental process, but if we can do it, we'll look at it.
Okay, great. Okay, so back to the committee, I think this is a good way to go with Bill's expertise, and New Britain has been identified as an example of what can be done. And since Bill spent many years over there, and they have a field named after Bill, football field, I think he has some inroads into knowing how to get things done and do them well. So, I'll open it up to the committee. The other things I will just mention is that the Wren's Kitchen Center is going to be opening, I think, before May 1st. Burlington is going to be opening before May 1st. The hotel on Cedar Street has been approved, and they're starting to do some groundwork over there right now. I've talked with owners at Keeney Manufacturing, and they have an offer that they're working with right now for a buyer of that property that will, if they accept this and they work out a deal, the type of business that would be going in there is extremely similar to what they were when they were operating. So you won't see virtually any change in the appearance of the building or the use of the building. We have a couple of projects that are moving their way through approval process pre-submission to. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in town as far as economic development goes. And I think that the end result will be very favorable to the town of Newington. So we're working hard to have that happen.
Keith, anything with the Best Market?
No, you know, we were contacted by a company, but they've sort of dropped out of the radar screen now, and we're not sure why. They may be still doing their due diligence. There have been phone calls made to the company, but we haven't got any responses. So it may be that they're moving on, but I'm confident that Best Market is going to be occupied in the near future. I think it's a logical opportunity for the right business to go in there. So,
Rob, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thanks, Tristan. Thanks, Keith. But importantly, Bill, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the work that you've been doing. I can tell you from firsthand experience driving through the center of town, my wife has always been complimentary over the changes on the town green and the Christmas decorations the last few years. Wanted to make sure I got that in. And I will personally lobby Sharon and others on the council to expand that beautification budget and to give you more tools and resources to do what you can do. So appreciate your good work.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Gail, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'd like to say that in regards to beautification, I mean, seasonal decorations are nice, but I think one thing that's happening with this town is just the ongoing everyday appearance. And it seems to be an increase in litter. I know those of us on the council have gotten letters or calls from people. Litter in town seems to be either it's increasing or it's not being addressed. So that to me is part of beautification and keeping up with what we have. For example, you know, some of the stone monuments, or, you know, Bill, I think the cemetery, the new fence in the cemetery is wonderful. So places in town that we already have that have gotten either a little old or neglected, I think that should be, even though it's like maintenance, it's nothing new and flashy and exciting, that is part of ongoing beautification. So I think that needs to be considered in all of this.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
if I may, Madam Chair,
Yes.
just so you know, litter has increased. People seem to be less willing to walk 5 feet to a garbage barrel. It's amazing. But I do want you to know, as far as maintenance goes, Keith has put us in charge. You're requested to clean up the monument in the center green, and we've just purchased a product yesterday that's going to address some of that. We've done a beautification area of the center green, but we're going to attack all the places that the 150th are going to on April 24th for their walk, their trail walk. But we have 1 or 2 guys every single day, 6 days a week, picking up garbage for 8 hours. We also have hired through the budget for the last 6 years a part-time person, Debbie Sirigliano, who does garbage and cigarette butts and litter all through the downtown at 19 hours a week. So garbage is totally, and maintenance is always being done, but it's not flashy and it doesn't get much credit, but we certainly recognize it. We get called twice a week practically to the dumpsters in the center of town, and we clean up after them for private businesses. So it's an ongoing battle. Garbage is a big deal for us.
It's too bad that, you know, because remember, you know, as kids, it was taught in schools, and now, I don't know, maybe, you know, you can team up with environmental quality as well. But, you know, it's good news to hear that you guys are on top as much as you can be.
Yeah, you know, it's weird. I'll end it with this, but you go to a soccer game nowadays, and when we were coaching our daughters, we would say, okay, to the team, go pick up your water bottles and put them in the garbage can, and pick up your orange peels. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. It's really frightening. It's absolutely frightening of what we have to pick up after people, it's crazy.
Mia, you had your hand up?
Bill, may I speak and ask, hold on, can I get called upon, please?
Hold on, Dave. Mia had her hand up.
Yeah, I have two things. I do have a suggestion that I'd like at all the signs we put up that honor, maybe we name streets after them. I know on Richard Street, it's named after someone. I mean, if we could put something at each of those things, maybe some flowers or something, I mean, not all, maybe to bring out the sign and pay more attention to all the people in town that that were important to us. And as far as the litter, as an owner of commercial property, it's ridiculous. And, people have to take more responsibility for their property. And, the businesses really have to kind of step up. I mean, I know we have to hire someone just to pick up the garbage that people have tossed out. And it's, I think it's just more personal responsibility. Let everybody step up and, maybe the environmental quality have to do something and get the businesses going. And, that's it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I guess I'm talking. Why not have a set of rules and regulations that these people that are using the parks have to adhere to? And that would include cleaning up after their games and not having to have the town send people out to clean up after them, or they would be getting a bill. What do you think of that?
Well, it's every single person that rents the field it's on their, that's part of their reservation form. It says they have to clean up after each other. We have signs in the parks for rules. Signage and rules are only good for those good people that abide by them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the fines are for the ones that don't. So
well, fines don't really work because we don't have the legislative authority to do that. So it becomes a difficult task, but I understand your point. We try to enforce that. Maybe what I should do is go out with an editorial or some kind of news release or press, trying to get people to be more conscious of picking up after themselves and after their friends and neighbors.
that's a wonderful idea.
Jay, you had
Yeah.
your hand up?
Yeah, even we're on the EQC, with blight, you can't find people because we never find people for the blight.
Yeah.
You're lucky you can get them to, clean up. So I hear what Bill's saying. I watch people, you're driving the Berlin Turnpike, I watch people throw cigarette butts out and coffee cups. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like to see what they do in their own house. By where we live over here, by Tilken, it's a mess, and I've gone by and picked stuff up. It's just incredible. I know when Mike was walking, Mike Fox, he picked up stuff when he did his daily walks. It's just incredible what people do.
And as far as maintenance goes, back to Gail's question, those of you that are on the commission, just for an education purposes, we work very closely with Eric Hinckley and the blight people. And it ends up most of the time, our park staff, we assign our staff to do the blight houses, either trim bushes, cut trees, cut grass, pull ivy, poison ivy, etc. So that's another thing on a maintenance thing. We do that on a regular basis around town.
Keith, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to add to what Jay was just saying. We actually, which I'm shocked that we had to do this, but I won't identify which businesses, but Eric Hentley, our blight officer and zoning enforcement officer, actually, I had to send him down to the Berlin Turnpike today to go see some of the property managers and owners of some of the properties along the Berlin Turnpike because of all the trash that is there daily, that you would think that they would take more pride in their own properties and not require the town to go tell them to pick up their own properties, but that's what happened today. So as Bill points out, this is a growing problem. It's just disregard and disrespectful in all regards. And the property owners, both on the residential side in some cases and on the commercial side, are just either ignorant about it or don't care. So we're facing a bigger challenge than before.
Mia, you had your hand up?
Yeah, maybe, even as part of Park and Rec could enforce, it used to be whatever you take in, you take out. So, kind of a program, whatever you bring in, you bring out. And that, maybe if the kids started it, and it would maybe take off at least at that level for the garbage in the parks.
Just so you know, too, we work on a very regular basis with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. And anytime a group comes to me, a den mother or something, I organize them and stick them at a park that needs it the most. And they'll pick up fence lines for me, or they'll do weeding for me or whatever. So a big shout out and thanks to all the scouting people.
Gail, you had your hand up?
Yeah, Bill, I have a question for you. The Center Cemetery, I was talking to, and I'm having a senior moment. Who's your cemetery person?
Clay Pedigo?
Yeah, because we were kind of working on something for the 150th, but it didn't come through. But you put that beautiful fence up, and it really is basically in the center of town. And I'm not sure. Maybe there's an ownership issue between the church and the town. But I know you guys keep the lawns mowed and whatever. But the stones and stuff itself kind of look a little uncared for or whatever. I mean, is that the town's responsibility? Because I mean, that's such a beautiful cemetery. It's historic. You got the new fence around it. It's near the church. People see it every day going by on Cedar Street. But some of it looks so decrepit in terms of the stones themselves.
Yeah, I have 40 years experience of running a giant cemetery in New Britain. And what the older stones are made of limestone, and they just, over time, they crumble. And the responsibility is the families that put them in. If you buy a plot in any cemetery, you're responsible for the stone. So now you have a cemetery that's 200 years old. Those families are long gone. They don't take care of them. It is the responsibility of the town if you so desire. But I estimated that it'd be over $500,000 to fix some of those broken stones. If you walk through it, the picnic table just collapsed maybe a month or 2 months ago just by falling apart. Somebody reported it as vandalism, but I don't believe it was vandalism. I believe it was the limestone that was just crumbling. So it's a giant investment. Keith and I talked about it. I'm looking for some grant money that we could search for, but no luck so far.
Oh, super. But okay, well, at least it's on the radar somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else with the beautification? I thought we have the districts for the town, but I was just thinking, to throw it out there, maybe we should focus on certain areas first, like coming down Cedar Mountain, having that be one of the targeted places, maybe coming up from the Berlin Turnpike, traveling northbound down by Eversource be another area, like the areas where the entrances to towns.
Okay, no, I know.
You don't have.
No, I know.
So what do you?
So that's just a thought. Does anyone have any other ideas? Jay, you have your hand up. Chip, you're
So,
next.
yes, so like my area is the Berlin Turnpike, what Keith just talked about. So what's your perspective of what we would do if Keith or he sends, somebody that works for the town that talks to the businesses? And we represent, so you have to be careful, how we would handle that.
Well, I was just going with the beautification, starting with maybe a couple plants or potted plants by the welcome signs, something like that. But that might not be feasible. I'm not sure.
if you, Madam Chair, if you want me to just give a couple thoughts.
Okay.
April 15th, we're going to start, our gardener will start part-time, 20 hours a week for the Parks Division. His mission is going to be to try to address the welcome areas that you're speaking of. Except I just want you to all know that some of those areas are state property and private property. So for instance, coming down Cedar Street, that bank that used to be there, we had to ask permission for us to plant and take care of a piece of private property, but we wanted to do that because we wanted it to look nice. Same with the right-hand side, when you're coming west, that area is state property. So it's a little tricky in getting back to the person that said those signs that are over bridges and things. Again, that's state property that we really, it'd be very hard for us to take part in that. But give me a month or so, give me till May 15th, and you might see a whole bunch of new flowers being planted around the welcome areas that you speak of.
Okay, thank you. Chip, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I had some concerns, and please save this picture that you have right up now. I want to do that, with another topic on that about the GIS that the town has. But there's a lot of paper streets, and they go through, particularly from Main Street to Mill Pond. And actually, there's one, because I grew up on Goodale Drive, and we used to go from Wilson all the way through to the Lutheran church behind the SNET building and everything. A lot of the owners have taken these paper streets, and they might say that it's their land by eminent domain, but there's a lot of walkways and stuff. That road goes from Wilson all the way to the old barn. That's where the Lutheran church is. And it's why you can see it when you turn right in from Main Street onto Wilson and start coming down. There's the big control box on the thing. There's a couple more that go from Cambria to here or there. So I didn't know whether we should either try to develop them or talk to the people, or at least deed the property to the people and give it away and make those paper streets go away, and make, the people maybe even pay for it or get some, tax income from it. But did you see what you just did with that? Newington is the only town, as a realtor, I go to all these GSS sites, and you blow that up, you get nothing. It's not interactive. It's all PDFs. If anybody's trying to do any development in this town, I want to show you. You start with that in Glastonbury, where my daughter just bought a house. She got the last lot on Anniston before East Hartford. When I blow it up, this is what it turns into. The street names show up. You can see all the property lines. As you increase the thing, Glastonbury has one of the biggest and best GSS, and I want to address that with Keith. This is garbage. You pull up the wetlands print, nothing gets bigger. You can't even read that street. It stays exactly like it is, and you see it bigger, big deal. We need this interactive, because people are online trying to do stuff in Newington. And look at how nice my daughter's property came in yellow. It all popped up. It tells me where all the wetlands are. But when you zoom out, it looks like the picture you have up there in front of us. So I know we were cost cutting, but we got garbage now, Keith. This is awful.
Well, let me just say that we are currently entering into a contract for GIS to be provided on a shared basis with another town.
Okay.
So we recognize that GIS is outdated in town. We at one point
It's all PDFs.
So it will be activated very shortly. It's going to take us certainly a while to get it all going, but it will be in the future what I think, Chip, you're looking for.
I was just hoping that, we didn't need to approve it in the budget. So that's something you're already doing. It's already approved.
It's already in the budget. It's been approved this current year. And we actually had more money in than we're actually going to need, because we're going to be on a cooperative.
You're partnering with another town. Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks. I've been always wondering about that. Thanks for.
Okay.
Good job. Finally.
Thank you.
Noreen, I just want to let you know Geraldine Nagel is here now. Any other discussion on this?
If I may, I would just say that I think that all of you on this committee and the other committees will all have different ideas. And I would ask that you, if you're going to take on this as the primary committee, that you develop a plan over the next couple of months with Bill's help. And you're going to not be able to get everything accomplished that everybody wants, but I think you need to prioritize what it is you'd like to get done, and then be prepared to, maybe in midsummer or late summer, be able to come to the council with a written plan that they can support and set the wheels in motion. That's really, I think, Gail, would you agree that would work?
No, it definitely, because you've got to start somewhere, and everybody has their own ideas, whatever. It's easier to get going on a concrete plan where I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, but no, a plan by the middle of July, I think, would set us in the right direction, give us time to, solicit some ideas from the public, maybe, and get something going. We'd like to see something going by the end of the year, I think. It shouldn't really take this long to at least get 1 or 2 areas of town part of this plan, part of this project.
Thank you, Gail. So do we want to form a subcommittee or just come up with ideas, email ideas back and forth with the commission itself and prioritize a few areas for the next meeting?
I like that.
Okay. So do we want to go that way? I'll start the email with my few suggestions, and we can, I'm thinking like Chip and Dave, I'm just using you two as examples because you're realtors, you may see different things. I think we all in this commission have different attributes, so we may be able to see different things that I may not be able to see, or Mia or someone else. So does that sound like a plan?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just make sure that you guys don't start having a dialogue. So have them come into you as suggestions and compile them for the meeting. That way you're
Okay.
not holding a meeting offline.
Okay. Wouldn't want that.
Sure. I agree.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do we have any new business? My understanding, there's 3333 Berlin Turnpike has some activity. The developer went to TPZ and had proposed a few ideas. That's something I think will be great. My understanding, it would be stores in the front, and then in the back of the parcel would be apartments. So that's something, I chuckled when I heard 3333 because that was always brought up in meetings years ago with Andy Brecker. 3333. I just thought it was funny that we finally got something there. Anything else? Okay, any public participation?
Still nobody with us.
Okay. Any commissioners' comments? Okay. Before I get a motion to adjourn, I'd like to thank Mr. DeMayo for taking time out and educating me. I hope I got a lot out of it. I didn't know the extent of the Parks and Rec Department and what they do. And thank you to our town manager, Keith Chapman, for taking time out. Anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, Jay, did you have a question?
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Jay.
Sorry, I was gonna say motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay. We had a motion and a second. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you guys all May 5th for our
Sounds
next
good.
meeting. Have a good night.
Take
Night.
care.
That's,
Good night.
that's Cinco de Mayo Day.
Yeah.
Teresa,
Nice.
Teresa, you still there?
Yes, I am,
Teresa?
Jay.
I may not be here in May. My youngest is, doing, she was having some problems, so I'll just keep you posted.
Okay,
So,
no
the one who lives in
problem.
New York, so I'll write you separately.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, James.